Hello and welcome to Dungeons and Dragon Wagon, the Rymoor Reason. This is not a regular play episode where we will be continuing the saga. After every chapter's completion, we are going to sit down and have a sort of round table discussion. I am here, of course. My name is Jake Lloyd, and I am joined by our Dungeon Master, Paul Bianchi. Say hi, Paul.
Hello.
And the fantastic Alexandra Hoy.
Hello.
We don't have Matt with us.
Yes, I am here.
Oh, Matt, you showed up.
Yes, this is my voice.
So you know what? We
Wow.
have the entire group here. I was confused. I apologize, listeners. Matt is indeed here.
So glad you could make it, Matt.
Matt, where were you?
I have to leave now.
Oh no, he's leaving again.
Aw.
Oh, all right. See, Matt was very busy. He couldn't make it, but apparently he could just for a moment to say hi and then leave.
He sounded like a flustered cartoon character.
He did.
He did.
He sounded like an early Frank Oz character who he was still workshopping it.
Mm-hmm.
He was really upset about something too because he had like a frog in his throat. Like he was crying when he was outside.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't be here today.
Yeah,
That's probably why.
which is why we're all crying on the inside. We miss you, Matt. But in any case, we're here and we're gonna chat a little bit about what happened so far in chapter 1. We are going to maybe get an exclusive interview with a specific half-orc that you might have heard of, and we'll learn a little bit more about him. And we will announce the first winner of our Gamebox Monthly giveaway. We are giving away, on behalf of our friends at Gamebox Monthly, a free 1-month classic subscription to Gamebox Monthly, which Gamebox Monthly sends unique tabletop games right to your door every single month. A 1-month subscription essentially equals 1 game. You will be getting 1 free tabletop game. All you have to do to enter this contest, Alexandra, is
Me?
You and everybody. Actually, you're not. You can't.
Oh.
You're not. You can't.
Can I enter?
You can enter, yeah, but she can't. She
Okay,
can't enter.
great.
Yeah.
Rude.
Um,
Sexism.
all you have to do is go to iTunes and leave us a rating and review. More so the review part because we can't see your name if you just rate it. So you have to leave a review. That's kind of the crux of it.
Review.
And every single time we do one of these post-chapter / pre-chapter, technically it's in the middle, mid-chapter. No, because that's like the middle of a chapter. What would you call the space in between chapters?
The space in between chapters?
Yeah, what would you call that? Just the nothing?
I
I
don't
think that exists.
The
Yeah.
upside down? the between? Anytime we
Sure.
do an episode here in the between, we will announce a new winner out of the people who have left those reviews, and you will claim it, and we will, give you your free game box on behalf of our delightful friends over at Gamebox Monthly. We'll get to that a little bit later. In any case, I want to just sort of just shoot the shit here with my cohorts about Chapter 1. We have just completed Chapter 1, and we have lost a dwarf. Our first guest, played by Joe Crandall, who wasn't Joe Crandall supposed to do a different accent when we started that?
Yeah, well, Joe Crandall does a fantastic Scottish accent, and he did it. I think he did it sometimes. I
detected it.
Yeah, it happened occasionally, but he was also learning how to play for the very first time.
Yeah.
And I think he was overwhelmed at times as well, which he will attest to.
Sure. I mean, we were all learning how to do this podcast because playing the game is one thing, but playing the game and kind of putting the podcast out is separate. We've gotten very better at talking. No, we've gotten much better at
Talk real
making
good.
sure we're on microphone. The listeners.
What?
This is behind the curtain, of course, but we're a little bit ahead of the game at this point. We know a little bit more than you do. And so where we are in the current game in real time right now, I feel like we've all gotten much better at speaking in the microphone because when you're in a big, giant room of people, and especially when you're rolling die, you tend to do that thing where you're like, oh, I'm over here now. I got the fucking. So I feel like we're all learning.
It's weird that you didn't have to jump out the window to just do that.
Wasn't necessary. I didn't have to do that to paint the photo.
No, I was worried for your life.
Speaking of Joe Crandall and accents, I feel like maybe Adeline needs to reveal some sort of accent because I feel like you started real bubbly.
I can't believe you're putting this on blast on air right now.
What, babe? I feel like you started very bubbly. You've slowly
Yeah,
transitioned.
Adeline kind of started up here. She's like super cartoonish.
Yeah, and then
And now I've kind of gone to here because I'm like trying to bring it back a little bit because maybe she sounds crazy. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like
Also, you told me that you find her annoying.
Listen,
so
I didn't.
the truth comes out.
I didn't tell you that. I suggested it through many subterfuge
passive-aggressively told me.
Yeah.
You suggested that you found her annoying.
No, I just straight up said that.
I feel like I'm a couples counselor right now.
Like, tell me more about this.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to role play as each other before this is over.
I roll
My
for...
name's Alexandra.
All right, yeah, but roll for initiative first.
Oh no, you get it because it's a D&D podcast usually. I don't know. I just feel like it would be okay if she just all of a sudden had an English accent. Same thing with Junk. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I could do one. I think all I can do is the voice that I'm doing for this poor die. But other than that, I said poor die. Thanks for pointing that out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love about this group is we never let anything go.
No.
If you misspeak in this
We're
group,
like rabid animals.
yeah, we are awful people, and I think that's what makes us so enjoyable. It's like TV shows about awful people.
Well, I think that's a fair question to ask both of you is what was the inspiration or intention behind the voices that you chose for your characters? I introduced the land to you, but I said nothing about what sort of character you had to play. These are characters of your own creation.
Absolutely.
So what was the inspiration for Junk?
Well, I feel like the true inspiration was that I wanted to play something completely different from what I usually play in role-playing games, and I usually like to be the rogue, assassin, archer, or,
Matt's character.
Thief. Yeah, I usually like to be the Matson of the group, and with that, I tend to sort of be like kind of an asshole, and I like to be really combative to everybody and have like give lots of side eye, which is a great thing to do in a role-playing game. But in any case, I want to play something completely different that I've ever played. I've never played like the buffoon before. And so that's why I was like, oh, well, I'll play like the big giant half-orc. I've never played a non-human or elf. That's always what I've ever played. Or a free sylph in a previous game that you did, which is a character or a species that you created, which is like a half-bird man.
Mm-hmm. Attorney at law.
Half-bird man, attorney at law. But yeah, no, I wanted to play something that's like completely buffoonish and different, and somebody who's more jovial. And then I feel like with an orc, you have a limited amount of voices that you could do. Like it's got to be sort of big and gravelly and deep. At least kind of that's what I picture it as. And then it's really just my voice with gravel.
You don't imagine an orc that has a Mickey Mouse voice?
No, for some reason I just don't see those. I don't see those vocal cords shaping that way through their adolescence. No.
Yeah. And
Maybe.
what about Adeline? Where'd that come from?
Well, actually, originally I was going to do like a British accent.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Jake knows what I'm talking about. And I was practicing it, and he was like, please don't do that. Just don't.
I didn't say please don't do that. You're making me sound like
He
the
was like,
shittiest boyfriend.
No,
that's not at all what I said.
awful.
No, these are not
And-
words. He's exaggerating. I'm getting flustered because I feel like you're
No.
painting me into a really bad
No.
picture here. That's not at
I mean,
all what
that's
it was.
kind of what you did.
Please put down that knife, Jake.
Oh my God, Jake.
No,
Yeah.
literally, can I say it is my fault that she didn't do it to begin with because I think I planted a seed of
You didn't just plant it.
Of-
It was
because
a full-grown
all
plant.
I asked her was like, is that something you could keep consistently?
I said yes, but the thing is,
She's already doing it now. See, she says yes, but the thing is, that's all I said, and she ran with her own conversation.
I'm just saying that I had to have a caveat to that answer because I don't practice that accent on a daily basis, and therefore I could very easily slip into different dialects, like Cockney versus whatever. And
So you don't take lifts as often as I do and
just
use
practice a British
accent in your lift every single
Ooh.
time like I do while I'm in a lift.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That's inspired.
It's good practice.
I
what
like
do you?
that.
Speaking of voices in D&D, what do you guys feel about the voices in D&D as part of role playing? Do you think that it's totally crucial? Do you think that it doesn't really matter? Like, do you where do you hang the level of importance on it?
I think specifically in an audio only listening scenario
Right.
that the voices are very important. But in
Sure.
an everyday friends playing D&D atmosphere, I don't think it's super important.
Right, sure.
If you're sitting at home and you want to play an adventure and are like, oh, I can't do a Scottish accent or multiple British accents or old or young. I just have my own voice. It's like, well, that's fine. Paint the world together, and we're there with you.
Have fun with it.
Actually, I'd love to ask the listeners, if you're listening to this, like, tweet at us, tell us how important you think it is, or if you do a voice in your own game, because I'm sort of curious. I've played with only a few select people throughout the years, so I'm used to the people that I played with and their playstyle. But I haven't really like sat down in like a game with a bunch of new people for a very long time. And I'm curious like how many people are actually embracing the roleplay element of it. Because I feel like everybody that I've ever known has been somewhat performative, and so they really love that part of it.
See, not me. Every time I've played up until this point, it's been people just use their own voices, and you run into the shopkeep, and it's like, and the shopkeep's there. Oh man, he's a son of a bitch. Hey, how can I help you today? And it's like, well, he really sounds like a son of a bitch, doesn't he? What about the character of Adeline?
What made me choose that backstory for her, or the accent I did end up going with?
Well, you went with a human, you went with a ranger, you went with of a noble background. Like, were all of these things you knew you were going to do going into it?
No, I think similar to Jake, I kind of, in this context, like an RPG thing, have always kind of gravitated more toward the bad chick, the witchier one, the bitch, and I thought, okay, well, I'll challenge myself and try and be like a cutesy good person, especially because I didn't want to be evil in any capacity and on a moral scale.
Although I do remember when we were selecting our characters, you were really leaning into like the lawful good, like that.
Well, when I was imagining Adeline originally, lawful good was like key to that, and then I had to shift after the prologue because I was like, well, we just murdered some people, and I think I'm going to have to be, neutral good at this point.
It's really hard to play a game as a true lawful good character.
It's almost impossible
because it sort of sucks some of the fun out of the.
If you're trying to be a cohesive group, you can have a Javert in a group, but then don't expect that person to be a fun time,
Well, let's think about how lawful you in the first two chapters. How lawful you
mean first one
or the first
prologue, I guess, and then
the prologue.
Well, the prologue in chapter 1. Let's set aside the prologue and just talk about chapter 1. How you guys have been fairly lawful. I mean, you did kill those two dwarves.
I wasn't meaning to kill that one dude. I just wanted to knock him over.
They arguably killed a whole town.
Yeah, well, they certainly assisted in that, or it would appear so. But I would say that nothing you did in that in this first chapter is anything but lawful good.
Sure.
Because you also have to think about the laws of the land, and this is a more medieval-esque, looser moral world.
That's true.
There aren't exactly authorities that you could summon in that.
And I feel like even in like the prologue or when we first started talking about the characters, the term of lawful good keeps like invoking visions of like, oh, everybody has to have a trial or everybody like you can't hurt anybody, like, and that's such a modern way of applying law, where in this world, like, no, that's not the law. If you steal, you get your hand cut off. Like, that's the law. That's what lawful is in this fictional world that we've created, of course. But
you know what, lawful good just isn't as fun though.
That's true.
It really isn't. I mean, maybe it is for the right person, also, and certainly if you prefer that, that's cool, but I realize it's not.
I also feel like it's at least what I've noticed in people that I've played with in certain games is that no matter what you pick to start, whatever your gameplay style is what you end up being. Like, I feel like people end up playing the character that they truly are inside more than what they wrote on the page.
Whoa, this got deep.
That's what I think.
Because Matt really likes spiders.
Matt loves spiders and keeping secrets.
That's true too.
Because he stole whatever that stone was at the end of chapter 1.
He's a sneaky son of a bitch.
He also, it got cut out of the prologue. We should talk a little bit about this because people don't know this.
Right. The money.
Yeah. So the part that got cut out of the prologue that I kind of summarized for time, because man, we went on a giant random tangent in that prologue that took like an hour of time and we accomplished nothing. But we went through Sir Monteith's stuff in his room, and we discovered that he had 4,000 in gold there. And then later on in the episode, and that part didn't get aired. We didn't tell people that when they listened to the prologue. But then at the end of the episode, when we go and get his stuff,
Matson says and here's your 1,000, or
Yeah.
he donates 1,000 gold to the captain.
Matson says
He's like, this is all there was.
yeah, here's his 1,000 gold that he had on him. So Matson pocketed 3,000 in gold.
Yeah.
That nobody who listened to the prologue probably got that, because it was the context that was cut out. They were just like, oh, he was so nice, he gave that $1,000 in gold to the.
So you're suggesting that this is the kind of person Matt really is.
True. To circle back
Should
around,
check our belongings.
he's not here. He can't defend himself. We can say whatever we want about that.
I know he was in such a hurry when he
He
left.
was such a hurry.
Crazy.
I got a question, since we're sort of chatting about the first 2 chapters. Go ahead. You have
Well,
something?
I was hoping that someone, since I asked about your characters, that someone would ask about mine.
I was about to get there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was about to get there.
Okay.
I was gonna say, since we're talking about the first 2 first chapter, 2 parts. I want to ask you, Paul, about the creation of this world. If there is a history to it, because you seem to have lots of details figured out.
Yes.
And I wanted the history to it, and also specifically these characters that you threw us with, and whether or not they were something that you always intended, or did you decide on them after you saw what our party was?
Right. So I'm going to start with the character thing and work backwards then, because it's interesting that both of your answers were very similar to mine in terms of characters that I normally play in an RPG versus this character that I have placed you with. And his origin actually comes from, I'm used to be on the house sketch team over at Second City Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And we did 2 sketches, the first one, and then it was so popular that I did a second one, which was the sketch called Old Ass Merlin. And the character was basically, I played Merlin in the very tail end of his years.
Sure.
And I've always liked the idea of this character that has so much power but is so aged at this point that he is absolutely useless. He walks incredibly slow,
Right.
and he's endearing, but he also is sort of behind in the times. He's going to tell you stories about his sexual prowess and his youth.
He won the battle of magic, but is losing the battle against time.
Yes.
yeah.
So I wanted to bring that character back to life with a different spin. I've never really enjoyed gnomes. In fact, my roommate has a book on, or my old roommate had a book on gnomes that he kept around as a coffee table book.
Right.
And I was like, gnomes are gross.
Was it?
Say no to gnomes.
I need context here. Was it just was it the book that just said gnomes in big letters, and it looked like one of the books that was about a specific breed of dog, rather, and it was just random different gnomes throughout time? Or was it
it's
specific to D&D.
Like David?
Yeah, exactly. Did it have
Or
here
Over
was
the Third
David?
Wall?
It was like a compendium, a highly illustrated book about the history of gnomes.
Ooh.
And
Wow.
there's a weird part where they talked about female gnomes, and there's a naked drawing of one of you see gnome breasts in it. Someone, I feel like
This is a hot gnome book.
It was weird.
I'm sure it was very tasteful, though.
But I thought, you know what, I should, because I like to challenge myself this way, I thought, how can I sort of fuse this character that I loved with this mythological race that and figure out how to enjoy it. And that's where it comes from.
If I get to say, I feel, and I don't know if it's the case, but I feel like you really love playing Orny, because you seem to really enjoy it.
I do love him.
When we play, you really seem to get into him, and I feel like you give him more to do than the DM, than Paul Bianchi as DM.
Yeah, well, because that's another thing, is especially since we're trying to make this a performative, entertaining podcast, I would rather speak to the characters as Orny in game than speak to you as the DM out of game if I can help it.
Right.
And then so I always knew then that we would have Selfin as our first guest. It seemed very easy to pair us with someone that we would be paired with story-wise right away. And
showing up at the Citadel of this is where
and
what was it? I'm struggling to remember the name. Wait, don't tell me. Something Stone. What was the name of the Citadel that we landed in, that we started in, we were going to work in?
Oh, you were just at the Kabana Temple.
Yeah, but didn't have a name.
Oh, Ebonstone Temple.
Ebonstone, there it is.
Yeah. And which was above the Ebonstone mines. And
Right.
so this whole land, this region is actually a small chunk of an entire planet that I have drawn,
Wow.
based off of a fantasy story that I told with my best friend, wrote it all together in high school, a
Wow.
region up north. And then when we were talking about the lands to the west and to the south and
You have that all
sort of fleshing that out, then when you and I started a campaign like 2 years ago, or I don't know how long it's been at this point.
Right.
I did a small island that was based off of a short film that I wrote based off of what was happening on that small
Whoa.
island.
Right.
And so it's all part of mythologies and fantasies that I have a very thorough understanding
Right.
of, because
So
it's all part of the same world.
Ultimately, like, this universe is a universe that you have had for a long time.
Yes.
That we're playing in. That's
Yeah.
really awesome. I feel like
It shows.
yeah, it totally shows. And I think that's the thing that I enjoy most about this is the amount of fine detail in the universe. Like
Yeah.
every city, you know the people who live there and why they're there. And
Yeah.
I can't wait to continue to explore it. But that's really awesome. I wonder if, do you think you'll ever expand on that universe more in the future? Like in either literary works or in just more. What if it's just simply a series of role-playing games that you sort of write?
It could. I mean, that's certainly I love engaging with this world so much. Clearly, since it's been around since I was 15, that I've always been drawn to the creators who have interlocking worlds within their own universe. Like Quentin Tarantino likes to do that, and
Right.
I love the idea that if I write something in the future that is a movie or a TV show that also takes place on another section of this planet, people could say, oh, then Dungeons and Dragon Wagon, the podcast, also takes place in another section of that home
Right.
world. It's sort of,
It's
that's
awesome.
fun.
That
Yeah,
is
it's really
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
And again, I think it shows. I think
It really makes sense to who you are too. Just like
Yeah.
your passion for mythology and history and all of these things. It really shows.
Do you have like specific things as DM that you're learning? I know that people like to listen to these and they sort of like to learn stuff for their own games. Is there things that you're like, oh man, I really wish I was doing this earlier, or stuff that you're doing now? Like, speak a little bit just about being a DM in general, because I always wonder, like, God, how much is happening in your brain simultaneously?
It's a lot you're handling.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, when I first started my first attempt at DMing, this is this would be go number 3 at DMing.
Oh, right on.
My first time that I DM'd, I had no idea what I was doing. I built a whole bunch of puzzles. I built everything based off of RPGs that I had played in the past.
Gotcha.
But
you weren't using a DM handbook though.
I did.
Okay.
I jumped into Dungeons and Dragons version 3 was
Gotcha.
what I learned off of and attempted to learn, and then I thought, oh man, this is all so involved, and I've never been good at math. I'm good at geometry. I've never been good at the
Right.
mathy part of math.
Everybody knows there's 3 parts to math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first part.
The first part is the math part of math, the mathy part.
Okay. Then there's the second part.
The second part would be generalizations.
And then the third part, of course.
Would be the mystical realm.
Of course. And then, of course, the fourth part.
Wait,
Wait,
what?
you said that there's 3 parts. That was your joke, because that was the mathy part of it.
But in any case, I'm sorry. I derailed you with fucking stupidity. You were talking about how you weren't so good at math and you didn't really care about that element of the DMing.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed when I was playing my first game, or DMing my first game, was that one of the players I was playing with was really into that. No, we need to know exactly how much damage my level 16 sword is going to do against a level 22 zombie, and I just can't.
That's not the way your brain
That's
works.
not.
Yeah, and there's
integral to storytelling, as far as I know.
I feel like that is I'm one coin with both of those sides, because part of that is the thing that I love. I love finding things in the world, finding a sword, finding something. I love enchanting things. I love the upgrading and the the gear to make myself powerful. So I feel like I sort of do enjoy that element of role-playing game.
Yeah.
I want to know what the armor rating is. I want to know how much damage I'm going to do or how little I'm going to do. But then inverse, sometimes when that gets too heavy, then I'm just like, I just want this fight to go on. I want to know if, you know what I mean? Like, because you don't want to make fights boring. And I've been in a couple RPGs where the parts that should be the most exciting were the things I was just waiting to get through so we can get back into playing.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, is that like video games that employ things that we have come to accept with role-playing games,
Sure,
they happen automatically. You see the
Right.
712 damage rise up over your deceased enemy.
right.
Automatically, it's instant, and you've moved on, and that just doesn't make for the most exciting gameplay for sure.
Sure.
The thing that I picked up from the very first time that I played was that perks and caveats listing.
Right, yeah, which we posted on the
Website.
D&DWpod.com. If you haven't been there, you can scroll down past a couple episodes and you'll see the
And
perks
I
and
had-
caveat list.
I had drawn my character for that game because I was so excited to play, and then I got my perk, which was that my character had a 14-inch penis.
That was his perk?
That was his perk.
Who wrote that out?
How perky.
The DM of that game?
The DM of that game, yeah.
Jesus.
And
Wait, what? All right.
And-
So
You
just
many
never
questions
know.
about your
It's
friends.
like a weapon.
and the DM of that game, she it was a
She?
female.
Oh.
Yeah. She suggested that having a 14-inch erect penis was a.
Wait, hang on. You just added the word erect in there.
Well, I
like
would
it was
only
nonchalant.
I would only assume that it's 14 when erect, because 14 when flaccid just seems like a mistake.
But hang on a second. Hang on. I need to unpack this. Is the caveat that he has a 14-inch erect penis, or that he has a 14-inch penis? Because if the caveat is that he's 14-inch erect penis, it means, is he always erect? Is he incapable of being flaccid?
No, I don't remember
That
what
word
my
wasn't there.
I don't remember what my caveat was. I knew that this was the perk, and that it sort of worked like that sexy perk that I had on our list, of that it
Right.
made people
More
that,
susceptible.
that, and so I
Really more
remember
influenced.
I
It was
had-
like a charm boost.
yeah, and I had drawn my character, and I remember specifically erasing his bulge to make it much more pronounced.
You
and
redrew
it.
to redraw, well, because I had drawn it in pencil, so I was like, there we go.
I
Now,
love that.
I also ended up with a pet singing chicken in that game.
That's kind of fun.
Which is also on your caveats. The pet rooster that wakes everybody everybody up. Yeah, delightful. I got a question for both of you. What was your favorite part of the first chapter? Or what was your least favorite part of the first chapter?
I the first thing I thought of was another knock at Matt. So,
What was it?
well, it was just the fact that when Orny comes around with the potion to drink,
Right.
that that you guys all took it and were just like, oh yeah, this is clearly something that the DM wants us to do, to drink this potion. And that Matt said, what's in this? And I was like, and I just said, you all drink it.
Yeah, Matt is definitely the most cautious of the three of us
Yeah.
playing, meaning the non-DM, not Paul. But that was your favorite? What was your least favorite?
My least favorite moment of the you know what? But I also really liked, because I like it when I surprise myself, because I plan some things, but some things I don't plan at all.
Sure.
And when I described that the dwarf Pete was wielding a wood block musical instrument as opposed to an actual instrument, I think that was really fun.
I love that is because now Junk has a wood block.
Yeah.
And so now I can bust out the rhythm like, Gloria Esteban. What's her name? Gloria, what's her name? Who am I thinking of? God damn it.
What?
The rhythm moves you. Who am I thinking of?
Can you sing it a little bit?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's Gloria Esteban.
Okay, I was right. So you looked at me like I had 6 heads and I said the right name. I feel like Junk.
I don't know why it just sounded weird coming from you.
Yeah.
Was it because I said Gloria Esteban, like the whitest man in the world?
Yeah, that could have been it for sure.
In any case, yeah, Junk's got a wood block now, so I could bust out the rhythms. I'm all about that.
I guess to critique myself, my least favorite part was where the Yeti and the gnome first showed up in the temple after
The portal.
Appearing there. I think I should have spent just a little bit more time with that moment. Anytime that I feel like I fail as a DM to describe the space, describe how people are feeling,
paint the
to
picture.
paint the picture, is where I don't enjoy it.
I mean,
Please.
maybe
I
you're being
enjoyed
hard
it a
on
lot,
yourself.
yeah.
Because I remember the gasp in the room when you were like, and he rips them apart. We were all like,
And that was such a great moment.
yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Alexandra? Do you have a favorite and least favorite moment from the first chapter? We're excluding the prologue because I think we have plenty of least favorite moments from the prologue because we were still getting our
It was
bearings.
a little rough.
And we spent 2.5 hours doing nothing on that episode. Not the episode, on the
nothing.
session. The episode is edited to a very enjoyable, hopefully, hour and 30 minutes or so. But man,
One of my favorite moments got cut from that episode. But
which one was it? When we were talking to the guy on the boat, on the dock?
the guy when you were talking to the guy going up and down the stairs, he got cut.
No, the villager's there.
He had a very specific thing that he said that I enjoyed saying.
Sorry, we edit for time sometimes.
Oh,
guys.
no.
He's pulling the magic curtain back again.
Yep.
What about you?
So many good moments, though.
Yeah, I know. The hard. I mean, it's harder to think of a.
I actually really enjoyed the whole scene with the two dwarves who had like kind of created the whole sabotage with the gnomes and just like how we handled that moment. And it was just so absurd. Like we could have tried to convince them. They had a pitchfork.
Wood block. All we had to do is say, "Give us your horses," and they would have given us the horses.
Hardcore, really 0 to 60, and like that's also maybe my regret is, oh man, that was a moment for Adeline to like try and use her wits rather than her brawn, and maybe she's just too influenced by you, murderous fools.
So we're a bad influence on you.
I like that idea.
Yeah,
though.
the way that we handle certain scenarios.
It's just so it always kind of goes way differently than I realize.
When you think back and you go like, oh,
yeah, you're
wow.
like, why didn't we?
Yeah, hindsight.
We so rarely attempt to actually talk our way out of things. We just immediately
I don't know.
go to murder.
I don't know. I don't think Junk immediately goes to murder just because he likes to,
Junk, didn't you kill one of those dwarves with a wrestling move?
I wasn't trying to murder him. I just rolled, I guess, too high.
Yeah.
Which maybe is my fault. Maybe I needed to specify that I wasn't trying to kill.
Yeah.
Because then my roll would have been what I desired doing. I don't know how that works, but I feel like
you did say you wanted to clothesline them both to the ground.
Yes.
And
that's true.
By rolling a d20, I
Right.
felt like it was a overkill moment.
Sure. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I definitely, that guy's head just splattered on the pavement immediately.
Yeah.
Or the icy snow, I suppose.
Oh my god.
Do you have a favorite moment since that was your least favorite? Oh, no, that was your favorite.
No, I mean, it was kind of my
What
favorite.
about a least favorite? What did we do terribly wrong? Because I'm sure that you could think of one.
Why are you so sure of that?
Because there were a lot of
That's so terrible.
All right, if you can't think of one, that's fine.
I could think of more things I actually enjoyed, like the lighthouse and everything.
Yeah, I mean, for me, since you're struggling, I'm just going to step on your toes here. Hands down.
Typical man.
Yeah, totally. I definitely think that the team up with Kilberselfen of throwing Kilberselfen
but that was
into
so
the
fun.
sky for
That
him
was
to
his
then
idea.
throw his grenade. Yeah, that was my favorite thing. Even though it didn't work the way that it was intended, the way that it ended, because I mean, like, either way, Joe, that was the end of our recording session with him.
Yeah.
So Kilberselfen was either going to leave on his own because we don't, or he was going to kick the bucket in some capacity. And I think he knew that. And so he was just like, well, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And
I love that he ran with that.
I love that he ran with that.
That was so good.
And I got my favorite moment out of that, which was, like just like the crying. And then I inherited his pube comb. And now Junk will care for this pube comb for as long as could be.
I knew the pube comb was going to be your favorite moment. I just knew it.
And my least favorite moment, I don't know. My least favorite moment is probably how utterly useless I was fighting Sam. Junk fighting Sam.
Yeah.
I don't think I rolled anything over a 3. And man,
how does that feel as a player? Like, do you feel like you're not contributing?
Yeah, it's really frustrating when you get bad rolls, especially for me because
you're like a melee guy.
I'm supposed to be the tank of the group.
You're the tank, yes, and so it's like
I have a tank who literally in that one.
So you're leaving all the ranged.
Yeah.
Or I guess Matt's.
If we didn't have Stone Flesh during that fight, I probably would have killed myself in our very first battle because I literally slammed the Warhammer on his leg and then it bounced it back up and hit me in the head. Remember? Like that was a thing that happened in the fight against Sam. Did you come up with the name Sam, by the way, on the spot?
Yeah,
Paul?
Sam. Yeah,
Sam
was Sam on the spot.
Delightful.
Perfect.
The thing about that is you may have discovered this, but I needed you guys to have Stone Flesh during that first episode because I wanted you to fight something impressive.
Right.
But something impressive would kill you.
Would it kill? Yeah. How do you feel? All right, so
Clever.
here's back to another DM question, and I'm curious to our listeners' views on this as well, especially if you're a DM out there listening, or you play regularly and you have a DM who does things you like or don't like. What do you, Paul, personally feel about like the DM maybe making it easy for a party for a specific moment of storytelling?
Oh, I'm completely behind that. I think that it should never be a DM's desire to kill his party.
That's a big thing, though. It's usually
some sadistic DMs out there. God.
I do think that DMs have every right to punish their party,
right, for dumb decisions.
Yeah, and certainly that's one of those things where, you know, we're talking about the death of Kelber Selfin. There were stairs spiraling the outside of the tower. And so
wait, what? We never even looked at that.
Matson walked up and down them.
Oh! You mean the interior?
The interior.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And which would have been a much safer way to explode the cauldron. You could have just walked up the stairs and tipped the cauldron over, and the woman wouldn't be there anymore. But
I never even crossed my mind.
But
it actually did cross my mind, but you guys were really adamant.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed like Joe had a plan.
Yeah.
Joe wanted to dispose of his character.
And Junk doesn't say no.
Yeah. And
Junk's just like let's do it, guys.
And for those who paid attention to this, there was the skeleton of a dwarven woman up there at the top of the tower.
Right.
Those were the remains of
Selfin's sister.
Of Selfin's sister.
Oh.
And so if Joe wanted to go out quietly as opposed to without not going out in a bang, he could have, or a self-immolation or whatever.
Right.
If he had gone up there, found the remains of his sister, that would have given his character, to me, just resolved to no longer travel with you. I found my sister. I need to go bury my sister. You guys go on. And Orny would have relieved him as the senior member too.
Paul, I feel like you're always planting seeds for us, and we just completely miss them.
Yeah. Well, how frustrating is that for you?
It's not.
No. Okay.
No.
It's fun. I hope. Sometimes.
It's fun. There are no mistakes. However, I mean, definitely going back to that prologue, boy, did that go different ways than I thought it was going to go.
It took so long to do such a simple task.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a fun, walk down memory lane. But do you guys want to give away a free 1 month subscription to Gamebox Monthly?
Yeah.
Do I? Yeah.
All right. So the way that this works, once again, just for clarification, is every time that we do one of these roundtables, we are going to pick a name at random of the people who have reviewed us on iTunes. And that person will win a free 1 month classic subscription to Gamebox Monthly. And our first winner for our first roundtable. Ooh, our winner for our roundtable. I have had too much coffee and my mouth can't keep up with my brain. Okay, the first winner, drum roll, please, me in the future who edits this, is Dillmeister or Dillmister, depending on how you want to pronounce his name. Dillmyster. Yay!
Woo!
Dillmister or Dillmeister or Sir Dill, if I may call you that, please email us at contact@dndwpod.com. Once again, email us at contact@dndwpod.com and let us know that you are our winner, and we will tell you how to redeem your free 1 month classic subscription to Gamebox Monthly. You have 3 weeks to redeem. You will have until we announce our next winner to redeem your subscription, and that's the way these will always work. Once again, thank you so much to our fantastic friends over at Gamebox Monthly, who are going to provide this great thing for our listeners and those who are reviewing us. Gamebox Monthly sends unique tabletop games right to your door every single month. There are multiple subscriptions to choose from, and you can personalize them to fit your style. So whether you're looking to bring the entire family together with a weekly game night, or you're a couple looking for the best stay-at-home date, or just someone who's looking for a great new way to spend a night with friends, Gamebox has you covered, letting you focus on what matters most, having great times with great people. And if you did not win our Gamebox contest this week, maybe you'll win next week, because regardless of when you left the review, you are always eligible, but you cannot win twice. Sorry, Dillmeister or Dillmister or Dialmeierster.
I really think it's Stillmeister.
Probably Dillmeister. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a shtick here, but yeah, it's clearly Dillmeister.
Okay.
Sorry, you won once, you can't win again. But as long as you have a review on the iTunes, you are always eligible. Regardless, if you haven't won and you still want to give Gamebox Monthly a shot because they are a fantastic company, and who doesn't like tabletop games, simply sign up and use the promo code DRAGON, and you will get an exclusive discount just for Dungeons and Dragon Wagon listeners. So once again, thank you so much to Gamebox Monthly, and congratulations, Stillmeister. Woo. Send us that email. You've got 3 weeks and counting. So, do you guys want to bring in this guy that's been waiting in the other room here and have a little chat with him and find out a little bit more about who he is, where he comes from?
Yeah, have him sit over here next to the fireside.
Alrighty, let's do it.
Well, Junk.
Yeah, Junk. I mean, everybody calls me Junk, but technically it's Junk. There's an umlaut over the U.
Yeah, I noticed that. I took German. Listen, I'm really excited to have you here with us today.
Yeah, no, it's
welcome.
It's nice being here at the what's this, Dragon Wagon Radio? I like it.
Yeah, I've never met a Half-Orccan in person. So it's
neither have I. That makes 2 of us.
Yeah. But we're thrilled to have you. I just wanted to know a little bit about your backstory. Like, where'd you come from before you went to the beautiful Shells Basin?
Oh, I actually I lived up north. I grew up in a primarily human town, and my mother was the primary blacksmith for that town. She was the only orc in the entire town I grew up in, completely around other humans. And I'd never really asked her where she came from.
Was she also as tall as you?
Yeah, she was taller than I was. She was a big woman. She was a handsome woman. I like to use the term handsome woman. Yeah, she was the town blacksmith. She made all of the town's, armor and anything that's,
So
steel and
you
stuff.
don't know how she got to the town then?
I don't know where my mother came from. She was a very tight-lipped woman. She didn't speak very much. I love my mom. She was great. She was a cool woman.
Did you pick up any tricks being around the blacksmith's forge?
When I was really little, my mom wanted me to be a blacksmith too, but I burned my hand really badly once. And
Ooh, like Johnny Tremaine.
I don't get the reference, but yeah, it was really bad. And she kind of, I don't think she thought that I was cut out for it. And so I kind of, I tended to the household and to the customers that came into the blacksmith shop. Like, I was the front of
man.
house. Yeah, exactly. I was the face of the company.
Sure.
I mean, with a face like this, wouldn't you want me to be the face of your company?
You're a very humble man.
Thank you.
Did you have any friends growing up? Did you do anything for fun?
Yeah, actually, I did have a friend growing up. She was my best friend, actually. She was a small, blonde human girl. And, growing up when you're the only half-orc in an entire human village, not everybody is super nice to you. And her parents didn't really like her hanging around me. Like most parents didn't really like their kids hanging around me. But she was always really, really, really nice to me and really sweet. And we played a lot of games in the streets. And eventually, her parents just told her that she wasn't allowed to come around anymore after a unfortunate incident. But I was a happy kid regardless.
Well, what was the incident?
Oh, it was just nothing. There was a scuffle, and the way that boys are, and somebody said something, and somebody shoved somebody, and she ended up kind of falling and getting hurt, and I didn't really take too kindly to that, and I grew a lot faster than the other kids growing up, and even at that point, I guess I didn't know my own strength. And so I just was trying to get, her up and away from them. Accidents happen. But anyways, there's lots of other stuff about Junk if you want to hear. What else you got? What kind of more questions?
I mean, on the heels of friendship, I was wondering if there's any tales of romance from your life.
Not every person is really into the half-orc thing, so I sort of attract a person that has a type, Paul, you're a man of a ginger face. I feel like you probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
I can't say that it would relate in a similar way. No.
No, you don't get like some women are just really into ginger dudes. I feel like some.
Actually, that was my assumption. Is that you likely would have fetishists?
Yeah. Wait, what's this word?
Fetishist?
A fetishist?
Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
Well, someone who's specifically into a Half-Orccan, likes being with a larger green man.
Yeah, that's you hit the nail on the head with that one. Absolutely.
Yeah, so you've had a few of these encounters.
Yeah. Nothing that stuck, but once I decided to leave home, then it was as a traveling man, you don't have a lot of time to settle down.
I feel like Orny might enjoy some of these stories. Have you shared them with him?
I haven't yet, but I hope one day I get a chance to just sit down with Orny and get some real one-on-one time, because he's a cool little dude, and I love that hat song. I mean, I have been singing that hat song to myself all day long.
Well, yeah, he'd be thrilled if you learned how to play it on the flute, because that's usually what accompanies it.
Oh, really? I mean, I've got this wood block, but I don't really know if that's sort of the same thing.
Not quite.
How do you feel about some of the deaths that have been caused by the group as a whole?
I struggle with it a little bit because I don't do super well around death in general. And I know I seem like a real chipper kind of guy. But, unfortunately there was this thing that happened when I was about 10, in which our entire village was overrun by Orcans. And I had never seen another Orcan other than my mother, and I didn't realize just how awful Orcans are.
They destroyed your home?
Yeah, the entire place was just gone.
Oh.
And
what about your friend?
If it wasn't for her parents, I probably could have saved her. Anyways, I set off to become a hero and to help people and to do the best that I can. And you know what? I did not plan to kill that little dwarf by the carriages in the snow, but like I said, sometimes I don't know my own strength. And ultimately, they were very bad people. They did very bad things. So maybe somebody once told me about this thing called karma. And maybe I'm like Karma's fist sometimes. And even though I might not like it, maybe it's just the way karma works.
Is that your nickname now? Karma Fists?
No, but there was a group of bards called Karma Fist that I met in a tavern once that were very delightful.
Oh, yeah, they sound like they play really heavy stuff.
Oh, yeah, super heavy, like lots of mandolins and lutes and flutes, even some pan flutes, like really hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about the Orcan raid on your town. Was that before or after the Shadow Elf and Desert Folk war?
It was at the very, very, very beginning of it, before it had escalated, which is why when I, left home, I decided to go and fight on behalf of the Desert Folk and join the war. I mean, even though I was young, I was still very large, larger than most of the Desert Folk, of course, and so they sort of gave me whatever I needed and sent me on my way to do whatever I could on their behalf to protect them and defend them.
So have you been on your own since you were 10?
I mean, yeah, more or less. Again, I mean, I've met people along the way. I mean, who's ever alone in a land like this,
What happened to your mom?
My mom was unfortunately one of the people who never made it out of the town.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like I said, those Orcans.
Brutal.
Their true nature is something that I don't ever really want to tap into my own. Not pleasant people by any means.
And you think that's a universal trait of that race, or do you think that was just a bad group of Orcans?
My mom was pretty awesome, so I mean that's a little bit of hope. Hopefully, I got her type of Orcan,
Yeah.
Hers and my dad's.
And what about your dad?
My dad's human.
Is he around still?
No, my mom killed him.
Actually, the night I was conceived, my mom killed him. I know we're jumping all over the
How
place here.
widowy of her.
Well, you know what? My mom...
Spider, not the
Again, what's the word that you used before about the humans who are into a specific type?
Fetishist?
Yeah, so I'm guessing that maybe every now and then my mom would go to the tavern and meet one of these fetishists that you said. And she brought this guy back, and... I guess they did what they did. They made me, is what they did. But then the next morning, he thought that her pet boar was breakfast. And when he went to, do what you do to a breakfast boar, she didn't take kindly to that. And she got her hands on him and really just tore him apart limb from limb, to be honest with you. Little did she know she was pregnant with little baby Junk. But, yeah, so I didn't really know my dad, obviously, growing up since he died before I was born. But she says he was a very nice guy. She says he was a musician, which is probably why I'm so adept at this wood block. But in any case, hopefully I got the best of my mother and the best of my dad, whatever his name was.
Probably Scott.
Probably. Scott. You did you know him?
It sounds like a Scott.
Did you know? Oh, okay. Yeah, probably Scott.
So wait, John, tell us more about your time fighting for the desert folk. What made you want to fight for them?
Well, they were always good to my village. There was lots of trade that occurred between us and them, and they were allies. And so when what happened to my village happened, they were the first place that I decided to go and seek refuge. And of course, with the war looming, I thought that I could be of service. But it's tough because you try to put a good time out there. You know what I'm talking about? And you try to, put on a happy face even in dark times. And I didn't like the way that the desert folk spoke about the Shadow Elves. Despite what their, situations were, and despite what the war was about, which I still was never able to completely grasp, the language used and the way that they spoke about people, I had a feeling that it wasn't always about the purpose as much as it was simply just because they were different. I grew up different, and that always was a little bit weird to me. And so I decided that there was really no honor on either side, and that there was no true good or bad or right or wrong. And so that's why I decided to come down here to Rymoor. Little did I know I'd end up here.
In another war.
Man, those little gnomes are nasty.
Yeah, so I guess that would be my final question for you then is, as you journey on with Matson and Adeline and Kelber Orny, what is the main driving purpose you feel like you have to journey on with them in the wake of what's happened? Because you are completely free to just go any direction the wind would take you.
Well,
but fuck the wind.
Oh, that's a reference to the song. That's a reference to Orny's song. That was really good. What's your name again? We didn't meet.
Oh, I'm Alexandra.
Alexandra.
Nice to meet you,
Nice
John.
to meet you. You're quite lovely.
Oh, thanks.
Actually, you remind me a lot of my friend Adeline.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And to answer your question, Paul, was it?
Yeah.
To answer your question, you guys, you're not going to talk to them about what I tell you, are you? This is all confidential, right?
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Okay. I guess I would be lying if I said that I didn't see a little of my childhood friend in Adeline.
Oh.
She reminds me a little bit of her.
Because they're blonde.
For not just that, but yes, they were both blonde. I mean, I know I'm a simple guy, but I'm not that simple.
I don't mean to insult.
Yeah, I mean, she reminds me a little bit of her. And when we were on the Providence, I was the only half-Orcan on the entire ship. And I sat in that corner alone, like I did most places I would journey. And Adeline came over, and she sat next to me and asked me to shuffle her into a deck of cards that I happened to be playing with. And ever since then, I feel like, Adeline has that same spirit that my childhood friend did. And Matson, on the other hand, well, that dude, he is creepy. But I honestly believe that in his heart, he's a hero. And I think there's good in him. And, as I continue on doing the best I can to suppress whatever the Orcan side of me is, I feel like it would only take one moment for Matson
to embrace the worst of the shadow elves versus the good that I honestly truly see in that guy. He's gonna be a hard puzzle to crack, but old Junk is on the case, and I'll tell you what.
You're quite the optimist.
And about Kelber Orny, that dude, like I said before, he's just so fun to me. First off, he's adorable. Can we just put that out there? He is so cute.
He must seem very small to you.
I love his little glasses. I picked up his little glasses the other day because he dropped them, and his little glasses fit like just in between my pointer finger and my little thumb here, and they were just so little. They looked like they were for a doll. And I mean, the hat. How do you not love that guy? Plus, he's very experienced and knowledgeable.
Yeah, have you ever heard the Midwestern expression of one might describe Kelber Orny as being knee-high to a grasshopper's eye?
No, I've never heard that expression. But grasshoppers are really little.
Yeah.
So that would mean that even littler.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. You guys, you Earth humans, you have all sorts of sayings.
Oh, yeah.
We do.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Junk. I look forward to seeing more of what this journey brings for you, and good luck suppressing the dark, looming, primitive Orcan side inside of you.
Yeah, thanks. Should be a breeze, Yeah. All right, guys, you enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to head back to the camp here.
All right.
Bye,
All right,
John.
bye.
Bye. Roast me a marshmallow.
Oh, hey, guys. I was sorry. I just had to run to the bathroom really quickly. What was going on in here?
We could hear you pooping.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Big
you know
old
what?
plops.
Really?
Grunts.
A Dunkin'
the whole
Donuts. A Dunkin' Donuts just opened up around the corner from us.
It's killing us.
Here in
already.
Burbank. And
One day.
that might be why. I apologize, but I did hear somebody talking in here.
We talked to a Half-Orccan.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He left a junk-shaped hole in your wall.
You got to stop taking dumps mid-podcast.
With that said, I think we should let our listeners go here. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Chapter 1 roundtable here. On behalf of Matt Hinksman, I'm sorry that he couldn't make it.
All right, I'm here again to say
Matt!
hello.
Oh my God, Matt!
Okay, but just bye again. Bye.
Oh, you
bye,
left so
Matt.
quickly. Please,
Wow, that guy. He's in and out.
please make sure you're finding us on the social medias. Follow Alexandra on Twitter and Instagram at Alexandra Hoy. That's Hoey, her last name, in case you haven't found that yet. Once again, at Alexandra Hoy. Follow Matt, of course, on Twitter at Matt_Hingstman and on Instagram at mhingstman. And Paul at the Paul Bianchi on Instagram. Myself is at Liquid Jake on Twitter and at Jake Lloyd on Instagram. And make sure you're following D&DW Pod social media accounts on all social media. If you're enjoying our little show here, if you've enjoyed the first chapter, please, I urge you to share it with a friend. Get the word out there. And of course, leave a review on iTunes.
Leave a review.
And you can win a free tabletop game from Gamebox Monthly, just like Dillmeister.
Yeah.
Dillmeister, again, please contact us at
Congrats, Dill.
contact at dndwpod.com.
Mr. Meister.
Mr. Meister.
Mr. Dill.
We will be
Meister.
back next week with Chapter 2, The Road to Cragshore.
Yes.
Until then, we will see you next quest.
It's Dragon Wagon.